Hello, folks. It is I, Gentleman James, and I'm here to cover some tidbits on the broadcast that was known as Outbreak. And that could branch off into some other things that we might discuss here, but we are going to sit back and pontificate on the greater good, the big horizon, the absolute big picture here. But first, take your beverage, get comfortable, and nice. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, take a sip. Outbreak was quite the show. I did see multiple superstars really reach for particular brass rings and really fill out the outer stretchings of what can be known as their character. I saw people like Havoc do some very interesting things. That started off as possibly one of the best promos I've ever seen, embracing what we see almost behind the scenes, but it dwelled on a little long, and somebody I pay close attention to, Adam Smush, does two distinct characters of yin and yang. I myself was not ready for it. I didn't see how it was poignant to the ongoing storyline. But one of my fan favorites, Jimmy Jams, was also on the card. He main evented. And he started off the match with a house of fire. It was truly remarkable to see. He set up his opponent, Doomsayer, on the top rope and fell off. What we would call a botch. And in agony and in pain, he said Doomslayer, which is not his name, so it's an even bigger botch. But what the fans and judges failed to see is a potential crazy storyline. They couldn't get past some references. Now, this brings me back to a time when AEW was just a young upstart promotion, and all the people that like to be critics would always say that AEW is just a land of WWE castaways. But what was very interesting about that particular statement where they said AEW is like TNA, I think the marks and the fans were really going for that low-hanging fruit, because if you actually looked at the roster, a lot of those former WWE guys left on their own terms. It was just a cool and hip thing to say. Now, a lot of things happened on Outbreak, and as I think to myself, to make sure I don't miss any of the topics, I know one thing that was said is that people would fast forward to the beginning of a Jimmy Jams promo, and I don't think that's the case. Because first off, we're watching live, but people could watch afterwards. And then on top of that, another thing that brings me to these AEW references, a man that was such a great talent in Bray Wyatt did so many great things. He really did have the mind for the business. And that is because he almost reminds them of us, dare I say. A man that watched a lot of content growing up. He watched a lot of horror movies, and you see that in his character, and why other people think what he did was original, in fact, it wasn't. You can start off with the Howdy Doody Show. Yeah. Uncle Howdy? Howard? That was a TV show with puppets. Sister Abigail was in a movie called Orphan. The mask that he just debuted in was a movie called Black Phone, I believe, with the eerily similar mask. Eater of Worlds. That's from the movie It. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. And they didn't really dwell too far down that one, because that was from a movie, not Frailty, with Fenton saying he has to slay some demons. Fallen, I believe, with Denzel Washington, where there was a demon and he would sing that song. And let's address the biggest elephant in the room. Bray Wyatt to its core was Robert De Niro from the movie Fear. And yes, Bray Wyatt did make holding a lantern one of the coolest things you could do. But that is a horror movie trope. To be in the darkness and light that candle and walk. But Gentleman James does say we need to adapt. Now, there's a lot of criticism going to Adam Smush / Smash and our lead judge here. And one thing I do, Gentleman James, I have to sit back and try to look at this objectively. One thing I do see about DJB, our friend from across the pond, is he gives very high scores. That cannot be slept on. He is very generous with his scores. Now, it's the critiquing after the fact that might get under some people's skins. But he does call it down the middle. I've seen Havoc, the one that these sophomoric nincompoops just objectify her for her tatas. And not to bring up Dylan James, but I do believe Havoc is not too far removed from high school. I could be mistaken, but different strokes for different folks. Gentleman James is approaching the wrong side of 30, so to each their own. But I did see him take a point away from Havoc against the match with Jimmy Jams for just using the wrong verbiage of speech. The delivery was on point, but the words that she used were incorrect. And let's look at Doomsayer, one of the Mount Rushmores of all E-Fetters. Daniel took away points not because his promo went too long, because he wanted more. And that is also, Mr. Adam Smush, why fans don't want to see you switch characters. You're over, sir. People like you. People want to be with you. People want to hang out with you. They might not want you in management. To each their own. I don't really understand the storylines. The best storylines develop organically. Here, in the locker room and on the page.